this will show the level of plaque buildup in your coronary arteries, and essentially you want to know that because that is the stuff that is going to cause a heart attack. Hey guys, Fitness Science here, and these are the key tests that you need to be getting if you're on steroids or on cycle in order to keep yourself healthy as a bodybuilder. The quickest and cheapest thing to do is to monitor your blood pressure routinely. Studies have shown that anything over about 120/80 will increase your risk of heart attack, stroke, and other cardiovascular events significantly over the course of your life, so it's a must that you keep this in check and take proactive steps to lower it if it is high. The second thing is to get routine Dexa scanning in order to see where your fat distribution lies in order to minimize your visceral fat instead of your subcutaneous fat, where the visceral fat has been shown to really increase your risk of complications, especially in terms of heart attack risk later on in life, and it is the more dangerous fat to have fat around your organs as opposed to subcutaneous. So knowing where that lies in a Dexa scan would be really, really useful. The next thing is an ECG, which will show whether your left ventricle is hypertrophied or not. Now, this will show on an ECG as a big spike where left ventricle mass is really large, and we know that this has been a problem historically with bodybuilders. Dallas McCarver, for example, had a 900-gram heart where a normal heart is supposed to be 300 grams. The heart is a muscle and it will grow with anabolic signaling just like our skeletal muscle, but you don't want a thick heart because a thicker heart means it has problems beating efficiently, and it also means that there is a potential that the heart wall itself can be so thick that the actual fibers which travel through the left ventricle may actually get disrupted and not be able to send electricity through the heart as well as it usually should, which can really predispose you to sudden cardiac death and arrhythmias, which are not good at all. Moving up a level again, we look at the echocardiogram, which is a more complete view of the heart. It's actually an ultrasound of your heart, and it can tell us how well your heart is beating, so how well it's relaxing and how well it's contracting, as well as how well the blood flow is going in and out of the heart, and effectively how well it is pumping blood out of your heart, which is called the ejection fraction. And a normal ejection fraction should be at 52% or over, meaning that 52% of the blood is at least going out of the left ventricle to be used by the body. Again, any problems with this mean that your heart is effectively not relaxing and contracting as it should be, which really puts undue stress on the heart and can lead to problems later on. So getting an echocardiogram is a really important step in diagnosing what's actually going on if your heart has any issues. Organ scans, including liver scans and kidney scans, mainly because with kidneys and liver we know that they can enlarge and have inflammation, especially with harsh compounds, but with kidney especially, seeing the actual nephrons themselves, we want to keep the glomerular filtration rate as high as possible because that is essentially how we filter the waste products out of our blood, and if that starts to have issues, that means you're not getting the waste products out of your blood and protein out of your blood as effectively. So knowing how your kidneys actually look is really important, especially because we know that harsh compounds, including 19-nors, are very, very harsh on the kidneys and can actually lead to glomerular dysfunction. A calcium score test or a heart MRI with a contrast dye, this will show the level of plaque buildup in your coronary arteries, and essentially you want to know that because that is the stuff that is going to cause a heart attack. We really want to target a score of 0 or an Agaston score of 0, which means there's no plaque buildup in your coronary arteries. If you have more than this, it's a good idea to know this because that will eventually kill you if it starts to build up. The plaque breaks off and suddenly you're having a heart attack and you can die from that. In terms of blood test key parameters, we're looking at hematocrit and hemoglobin for the viscosity of your blood. You don't want thick blood, that will just predispose you to clots, heart attack and stroke. Cholesterols in your blood tests, you want to know where your HDL and LDL split is, as well as your triglycerides in total, but you also want to know something called a cholesterol efflux capacity rate, and that is essentially a measure of how well your HDL cholesterol is taking your cholesterol out of your body to the liver for processing, and is a really good marker of the function of your HDL itself. So that's something you want to know because bodybuilders typically have reduced HDL function, and in the long run that can actually cause plaque development. Creatine kinase, as well as other inflammatory markers in the body such as homocysteine, ESR, which is basically a sedimentation rate which shows inflammation because it's basically the time that your red blood cells take to separate from the plasma, and if that is low or high or there's some abnormality there, it can show inflammation. And also C-reactive protein, which is another inflammatory marker. These are all inflammatory markers that you want to know because inflammation and oxidative stress on the body can reduce your longevity in the long term of your life. And of course, liver and kidney markers such as all liver enzymes, as well as creatinine for kidneys, as well as urea and the EGFR. These are all things that are very cheap and easy to check and will really save your organs in the long run. And the biggest goal, I think, for all bodybuilders should be saving your health and saving your organs. So these are very cheap and easy to get. You can usually get most of these tests. Some of them might be a bit more expensive, including like a calcium score test or an MRI. But I mean, what price can you put on your health, really? This is the most important thing. So keep on top of all these markers. There are a ton more, but these are the biggest and most important in terms of literally keeping you alive. And you should be religious about checking these markers. So thank you so much for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. This is all about keeping you healthy and safe in the fitness industry, and I will see you in the next video.